Look at the technology and they got it right going. What's that? K-A-N-I. Oh, there it is.
Feedback. I'm supposed to meet with Marissa.
Good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock, so let's begin this business meeting of Urbana School District 116. Roll call, please.
Member Cheryl,
Here.
Member Hickson,
Here.
Member Marabou,
Here.
Member Jones, Member Langendorf here, Vice President Baxley,
Here.
President Pulowski.
Here. Are there any additions, corrections, or modifications to tonight's agenda? No, hearing none. It is now time for citizen statements. If anybody wishes to make a statement before the board, there are these goldenrod sheets in the back of the room, and they can be filled out and handed to Recording Secretary Lori Johnson. There's a 3-minute time limit on public participation for each speaker, and we have 5 set up right now, starting off with George Gollin.
All right, there we go. My name is George Gollin. I was a physics professor until my retirement last spring. I had heard that Urbana plans to scale back its French language instruction. I think this would be unfortunate. Let me describe the wonderful benefits that have flowed through 3 generations of my family because I began learning to speak French in 7th grade. The public school system where I grew up did a fine job on foreign languages. Half my French classes were taught by teachers born in France, and the rest were fluent. I spoke the language easily by the time I went to college, and had actually done brief homestays with two French families. As a postdoc, one of my professors invited a research group from a French lab to collaborate on our Fermilab experiment. The younger physicists didn't speak much English, so I had a chance to use my French with them. Years later, as the emphasis in particle physics shifted from Fermilab to CERN, a lab on the French-Swiss border, it was natural for me to look for sabbatical opportunities in Europe. My wife, a former chemist, and I landed visitors' appointments at labs in Marseille. We moved to a small town east of the city and plopped our daughter into a French elementary school for 4th grade. It was a fabulous year. Cordelia's classmates were welcoming and fascinated by the exotic American girl. She went to loads of birthday parties and sleepovers, and we became good friends with some of the parents of her buddies. That was 27 years ago. My daughter is still fluent in French. Mine remains fairly strong, and we are still in touch with some of the friends that we made. Cordelia had become fearless in her ability to thrive in a foreign language environment and had come to understand how to learn another language. She took German at uni and did a gap year with a German family before college, and then landed a Fulbright after graduating, teaching English in Poland for 2 years. She became fluent in Polish. By the time she was 25, my daughter was fluent in 4 languages and had lived for a year or 2 in each of 3 different European countries. She is very much a citizen of the world, and it was her initial exposure to French, made possible by my early years learning the language, that made this possible. Her interest in foreign languages is now enriching the lives of my young grandchildren, both of whom are enrolled in a Spanish immersion nursery school in Chicago. My colleagues and I tell each other that part of our task as teachers is to enrich the interior lives of our students. That has certainly been true for me, thanks in part to the fine job my French teachers did. I would hope that Urbana students continue to have opportunities like those afforded to me some 60 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Paul Taylor.
Hello, my name is Paul Taylor. I'm president and owner of ESS Clean, located in Urbana, Illinois. We've been working with Unit 116 since 1999, providing janitorial services. I'm here tonight because a recommendation has been made to contract with HES Facility Services out of Knoxville, Tennessee, to take over janitorial services at UHS, UMS, and the 6th grade center. I believe the contract for UHS, UMS should go to ESS Clean instead of HES, even though our price is 4.5% higher. Here's why. Prior to 1997, Unit 116 worked with an Urbana janitorial company. In 97, an out-of-state company called 4M was the low bidder. That lasted 18 months. Parents and teachers were disrupted by unclean facilities. 4M walked out mid-contract. ESS was called in 99 to help. We fixed the problem. ESS had the contract for most school buildings for 22 years. In 2021, ABM, an out-of-state company, was the low bidder and won the contract to clean all the schools. They failed. 11 months into the contract, ESS Clean was called in to help. We fixed the problem at UHS and UMS, and now we're back to the same scenario. My company, ESS Clean, is headquartered in Urbana. We have over 100 well-paid employees with benefits. Our team at UHS, UMS makes $19 an hour. We have 12 full-time supervisors, floor techs, and managers located in Urbana that can solve problems on any shift. We're part of the fabric of this community. Our reputation depends on us providing good service. We pay over $50,000 in property taxes to the city of Urbana every year. I have personally served as a mentor of 6 young men at Unit 116 over an 18-year period. HES has 0 clients in Champaign County. They have 0 employees in Champaign County. They have no office or warehouse in Champaign County. They're coming from Knoxville, Tennessee, and will be hiring all new people. They're risking nothing. They get paid, fail, and move on, just like the last 2 out-of-state companies. The janitorial RFP specifically says in the qualifications section, Section 13, Urbana School District is only interested in quality cleaning. Only this type of cleaning is acceptable. Price will not be the sole factor in awarding the contract. Section 14, manager and supervisor are required to live within a 50-mile radius of Urbana, Illinois. Section 15, bidders are required to have an office and or warehouse in Champaign County or be able to secure an office or warehouse. My question is, are you willing to risk chaos, unsafe and unclean conditions, disrupted lives, low morale of students and teachers, all for a 4.5% savings?
Thank you. Next up is Jim Creasy. Cry. Sorry. Thank you for.
Okay. I don't get it right myself sometimes. I'm Jim Cry. I'm the Urbana branch manager for ESS. I got in my car today, looked at GPS, and 1.6 miles. Our corporate office is 1.6 miles away from all these buildings here, middle school, high school, and even closer to the central office in Glover Street. We have a staff, backup staff of over 10 people that regardless of the situation, weather, flu, anything that happens can come over and clean. Their background checks are already done and complete, and we use them all the time. As a branch manager, I talk to Randy all the time. And let's face it, it's not always good news. When you run a cleaning company, you don't always do a great job. Sometimes your cleaners fail. But Randy knows he can get a hold of me, whether it's 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, Saturdays, we're there. And not only do I pick up the phone, we have staff to come over and do what we need to do. We also use our staff during the day. So whether we did something wrong or you need something else to be done, we have a staff during the day that will come in and do it. We do not charge extra for that. We consider that part of the partnership. We're here Saturdays and Sundays, 20-some weeks at least out of the year to service the various special events. Our staff is here on Thanksgiving when needed, when you have the event over there. So I just want to point out it's more than the money sometimes. It's a partnership. I feel we work well as a team. You know, I've worked with Randy, Lori, Tyler, Piper. We have a good thing going. And when it comes to quality of service, in 3 years we have not had a fine for not doing what we're supposed to do, because there are times we don't, but we fix it immediately. And we are there, and you can always get a hold of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Aurora Mraz.
Good evening, all. My name is Aurora Mraz. I'm a professor at the University of Illinois with 20 years of research and expertise in language education. In Urbana, French is not a foreign language. It is a community language spoken by actually thousands of families. Many are children in our schools. But you see, multilingual education only works if it goes both ways, with native speakers being allowed to develop strong literacy while their English-speaking peers also learn their language. This is how communication becomes mutual. This is what our students and families want. And this is what the dual language program at Yankee aimed to offer, yet that foundation is being weakened. This once flagship program is now stalled. No clear vision, no recruitment, and efforts to strengthen it are blocked. Even more concerning, teachers trying to build the program are being discouraged, pressured, and recently threatened, so much so that they didn't feel like they could come today. This is unacceptable. You cannot sustain a program while undermining the people who make it work. At Urbana Middle School, the situation is even more damaging. The French World Language program is being eliminated, removing the only entry point for English-speaking students. At the same time, the dual language track is eroding. 45 minutes a day does not sustain literacy, and students who should be advancing are in fact losing their skills. Also critically, the district is losing ultra-qualified, highly experienced teachers, educators that you invested in and cannot easily replace. When they leave, programs don't shrink, they collapse. These are not isolated decisions. Together, they dismantle an entire ecosystem. I'm told this is because enrollment is low, because students choose electives like Intro to AI. But across engineering and AI, the message is actually very clear. Advanced multilingual literacy is the most critical skill students can develop in preparation for AI, because the ability to think and communicate across languages is essential in complex global systems. Reducing language education for minimal exposure to AI is not preparing students for the future, it's compromising their future. These issues also raise a question of democratic alignment. Let's remember that Mayor Williams was recently elected on a platform of educational inclusion and opportunity. Dismantling language pathways without transparency or a plan runs counter to that mandate we Urbanians voted for. You can change this in 5 easy steps. 1, reinvest in and support the program at Yankee Ridge. 2, secure a real secondary pathway at Urbana Middle School. 3, maintain the French World Language program as essential. 4, retain and protect the teachers who sustain these programs. 5, restore transparency in decision making. You have a choice. These are 5 immediate feasible steps. The question is to be builders rather than barriers. And if you don't think that there's enough French speakers, come to campus on Thursday at 9 a.m. and you will see over 200 kids, all French speakers, celebrating their French-speaking identity. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you. The last one I have right now is Jude, Krasinski.
My name is Jude Krishnowski, and I coordinate the World Language Teacher Education Program at the University of Illinois. And as the name suggests, we educate future world language teachers and prepare them for state licensure in Spanish, Latin, German, Japanese, and, of course, French. And, of course, we believe in the power of multilingualism and intercultural competence, as well as the importance of language education. And so that is why I am here to speak in defense of the French program at Urbana Middle School and across District 116. This is, of course, a concern, as my colleagues will enumerate, and they have done so. On a practical level, there is a 2-year language requirement coming down from the State Board of Ed, which will require that starting in the 2028-29 school year, high school freshmen will have to complete 2 years of a world language in order to graduate high school. And it stands to reason that providing students with the opportunity to start a language at middle school will make it easier for them to meet that requirement come high school. I do support that requirement, full transparency, but with or without that requirement, our support for language education is a reflection of our values. We live in a very vibrant and diverse community, a very multilingual and multicultural community. So what does it say when we end a language program? What is it that we value? Do we value students being able to build bridges across languages and cultures? I should hope so. Do we value a student having the courage to sit with a student who does not look or speak like they do because they had the opportunity to speak or to learn French at the middle school level? Perhaps a little bit late in the game, but they were able to get started on that journey. Do we value teaching them to understand and empathize with students who are learning English as a second language because they themselves are finally coming to learn French as a second language? Do we value empowering students to cry, dream, and hope in French, English, Lingala, or whatever language that moves them? Something that AI just can't do. I should hope so. In his 1998 article, Carlos Fuentes reflected on a piece of graffiti that read,
El monolingüismo es una enfermedad curable. If your middle school Spanish failed you, that means monolingualism is a curable illness. And so I say that we should continue our journey to work towards multiculturalism and multilingualism in District 116 and across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. I've received one more from Dr. Dinah Armstead.
Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my statement. Also, out of respect for my French speakers, parents, and students, I would like to say bonsoir, merci beaucoup, on va y réussir ensemble. So, I also started French when I was 12 years old in middle school. And my family's monolingual, well, not anymore because I have a brother who's learning Japanese and a sister who speaks Spanish. However, without that middle school introduction to language, I would not be where I am today. And what I want to emphasize on that is going to be my third point, but it will be my first. Critical period. Seriously, we have to pay attention to the sensitive period of language learning. If any of you or any of your friends have ever decided that language is hard, it's because you didn't start learning it early enough. So, do we really want to cut the legs off of our children by not starting early enough? And finally, when I was in high school, I got to meet people who looked just like me from Guadeloupe. I was in the AP French class. We invited them, and I thought, I want to learn French fluently just because I met these students, because it became so relevant. So we have an opportunity as a small community, one of the communities in the U.S. that's considered one of the highest communities, best places to raise children. We have that opportunity here to raise children who are multilingual. Do we really want to not continue in that vein? I also want to say that learning language is a high impact activity rated at all universities, that this is one of the things that students have come back year after year, have made a lifelong change in impact on them. And speaking of impact, of course, we know that for career after college and during college, that it is a game changer. It really can open up careers for our students. So what are we doing if we take away this power to help our students? When our students are born, when you were born, you understood all the sounds of all the languages. And slowly, as you got older, you forgot them. Well, now is the time to do this for our kids. I taught English in China, and the whole elementary school understood perfect classroom English. This little second and third grade, it was beautiful. And that's what we could have. We do not need to cancel the program. We need to grow it instead. There are plenty of French-speaking people in our community, as my colleagues have already mentioned, so I won't go into all of that. Now, with my last 20 seconds, I also want to plug ESS because they recycle our pencils. I simply asked them to, and I've never run out of a pencil. And they're so kind. I've made friends with several people, and I've even shared the pencils with the middle school. I teach at the 6th grade center. So we don't want to leave them behind. Money's just a tool. Use it wisely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the speakers. And one last call for anybody who wishes to address the board this evening. Going once, going twice. All right, thank you. There is no call for an executive session after tonight's meeting, so the chair would entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda as published.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. It's now time for a student ambassador report.
So current things that are happening at UHS, the girls soccer, they won over Bloomington on the 14th. There was a girls track meet on the 17th and a boys track meet on the 18th. And there's a girls track meet at Central tonight. And then we'll be celebrating Earth Day. We'll have a cleanup around the high school. And then we have our senior sunset coming up at the beginning of May, where the seniors will all come together and celebrate the end of the year.
One thing that is not on there, there was an elementary tour, April 17th, band, choir, and orchestra all attended that. We went to Leo, Yankee Ridge, and Thomas Paine. So that was a really great event, and we all had fun. girls soccer senior night. They had their win over Emmanuel, so congratulations to them. All seniors got to start and be announced. It was a really fun night, and everyone had fun, and a lot of great last memories were made. So congratulations to all of the seniors on the girls soccer team.
Next Monday, we have our senior trip to Malibu Jacks. This will be a place where we'll play laser tag, go on go-karts, play an arcade, and go on rides. Very exciting.
And this is our report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's now time for board reports. If any board member wishes to give a report, I guess now will be the time. Who wants to go first?
I hadn't really planned to make a board report tonight, but I've been inspired. I used to be the multicultural program director in Urbana, and we used to talk about an old joke that said, what is a person who speaks 3 languages, trilingual? What is a person who speaks 2 languages, bilingual? What is a person who speaks 1 language, an American? And I guess what I would like to say is that we do need a multilingual community. And it doesn't exactly take hard work, it takes opportunity. And Urbana has been trying to provide that opportunity, and I think that's great. And I think we have to do all we can to support that into the future. I know that there were, when we taught world languages to our neighborhood kids at King, it was, we made a T-shirt, and it said, welcome on the front, and then it said goodbye on the back in a whole bunch of different languages. And it was a little African-American neighborhood boy, second grader, who came up to me one day and said, Mrs. Hickson, the goodbye on the back is wrong in Japanese. And he was right. And we've had kids who, when they left King School and went to uni, skipped a year at uni, and then went on to learn multiple languages as the people here. So I guess I'd like to just put that little bee in everybody's bonnet.
Thank you, Jennifer. Sherry?
Yeah, I have a few things that I wanted to relate. I was entertained last week and over the weekend, first by attending the middle school production of The Addams Family, and those students had so much fun participating and doing all the aspects of the play, from set design. I thought the sets were really impressive. If the students made those, that was really impressive. They got a very good education there, how to build things that most adults don't know how to build. And they were just so much fun to watch, and they did a great job. I also heard part of the Urbana Orchestra. They participated in the Musical Magic Live. It was a fundraiser to benefit the Lily and David Gingold Holocaust Tolerance Education Outreach Fund, and they did a wonderful job representing our school and our community, and that was very enjoyable as well. But one thing I do want to talk about, this morning I loaded up with 83 containers of juices, lemonade, Gatorade, no place to park at the high school whatsoever. I finally found one spot in the paved parking lot, so I was lucky, but I thought, where am I going to park? I can't park in the students' parking lot because that's for students. But as I parked my car and started walking towards the school, I counted 21 empty spots in the student parking lot. So I don't know if it was senior skip day or something, but I don't know. I was told that maybe they are more conscientious now. Maybe the school's more conscientious of only having students who have the permit park there. So I don't know, but I would like the student ambassadors to help me figure that out and see what we can do, because it didn't seem, at least this morning, that there was a parking problem with the students, but there was more of a parking problem for the visitors, the teachers, and also maybe the tutors or university students that participate in programs there.
So we Mr. Sexton has been trying to really crack down on people who don't have stickers because there is so many people who are parking in spots that are not meant for them. And so he's able to really minimize a lot of the issue. And so some of the empty spots could just be students not, being at school, or some of the empty spots could be him getting rid of
Right.
people who don't have the sticker to actually be in those spots. As far as the teacher lot or other lots where visitors or TAs or anyone else can park in, I know that lot really tends to fill up really fast.
Right.
I don't know if I know last time whenever we talked about this, we talked about maybe TAs and student teachers parking at the middle school, right, Dr. Abby Tatum? So I don't know if that is currently in effect, but that should also hopefully reduce the amount of spots in the teacher lot too, not just for teachers, but for visitors who also need spaces to park for if they're going inside to the main office or going inside to have a conference with somebody. So hopefully we can really minimize that too by moving some people to some different spaces to make more spots available.
Okay. My point of bringing that up was I hope that as you research the student problem that you also consider the problem for the visitors and for the rest of the community that come to help at the school, because we have a lot of people coming in and signing in and wanting to help the students. So I appreciate your help in that.
Yep.
I have one more thing to say, and it's another accolade for President Pulowski, who will be a recipient of the Community Impact Award at the Mayoral Recognition Program April 29th at 5 o'clock at the high school, and I hope everyone can make it to congratulate him and to honor his work.
That's very kind. Thank you. I didn't know that. Anyone else wish to make a board report this evening? I'll do one real quick. I want to thank all the people who came and spoke in favor of the French program. I moved to town because of the French language. My wife received her PhD in French from the university. She started her journey as a francophone in middle school herself. All four of my kids went through and had French in middle school and in high school. Value it greatly, but that said, we have expanded the offerings of electives at the middle school, and parents and kids are not choosing it. It saddens me. It makes me sad, but they are not choosing it. We need to keep French language available for our bilingual students coming out of Yankee Ridge for sure. I think we need to encourage it in other ways, but we also have to be fiscally responsible to the taxpayers of this district, I would love to see us offer more languages, Mandarin, others, but right now that's not what the students are asking for.
And just to be clear, we still have sections of French world language happening at the 7th and 8th grade center. So for next year, those have not been cut completely. They may be combined, and because of numbers, but they have not been cut. So we still have a teacher teaching French at the middle school.
The other thing I want to my fellow board members is when we reorganized after the election a year ago and voted in officers, we did that as a one-year appointment. So next agenda for our first meeting in May, we'll be voting on officers again. Just putting that out there. One last call for board reports. Moving on, we have one action item we want to do before the others, and that's our administrative personnel items. Angie, do you have a context for the board?
Sure. Jess and Jen, do you want to come up front? So we have Jen Roan, principal at Gerber School, and we have Jessica Wilson, current special education teacher at Gerber. And as you may or may not remember, Beth Gatchie, the current assistant principal at Gerber, is retiring at the end of this school year, which created an opening at Gerber. And so Jessica, better known as Jess Wilson, has worked as a special educator at Gerber School in the Urbana School District for 17 years. Besides being incredibly humble, Jess is an active member in her school community by serving on the PD cadre and school improvement team for over a decade. Jess holds her LBS 1 from Eastern Illinois University from 2008 and her master's degree in educational leadership and administration from the University of Illinois at Champaign in 2024. The Urbana School District and Building Administration are very thrilled that Jess Wilson is joining the administrative team. We've worked with her in the capacity as a UEA leader in the past, and she did an excellent job as a teacher leader in our district, and we think that the continuation of her stepping into a leadership role at Gerber is critical for our staff. And so we are pleased to recommend Jess to serve as the next assistant principal at Gerber School.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the administrative personnel items published in our agenda packet this week?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, or discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations. Do you want to say anything, or?
So Jess helped me out with the bio, and I will tell you, in the past 7 years, it's the shortest bio that I've ever received, which speaks, she's very much so a humble servant leader and does the work quietly behind the scenes. And so I doubt she's going to say much to her own horn, but they'd love to hear from you so they at least hear your voice, I'm sure.
I just want to say thank you so much, and I'm super excited about this new opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thanks to family and friends that came out to support.
We have a pair of administrative reports this evening. First up is a report on the young adult program facility space.
Okay, that is me. Normally, Beth Ladd, our Executive Director for Student Services, would be here presenting this with me, but she recently had a minor surgery, so she's still at home getting well and recuperating. So she is probably watching from home, but she did have input in the slides that we created that you will see tonight. Okay, lower that. Okay, so some of the objectives, things that we'll talk about a little bit is I'll share a brief history of the young adult program, recent changes in the program model and the goals and purpose of the program. We're going to talk a little bit about space, instructional need, structure, curriculum planning, and location, of course. And one of the biggest goals for the program is preparing the students for independent living. And then at the end, there is an ask and a funding request. So you'll hear about all of those things in the next few minutes. So the Young Adult Program is a program that traditionally, prior to 2021, served one of the teachers when we met with them called them super seniors. So they are our students who are in the life skills program or other students that receive special services at the high school who, once they turn 18, instead of graduating and leaving the high school, they're able to stay. Prior to 2021, they stayed until their 21st birthday or the beginning of their 22nd birthday, but recent school code changes allow those students now to remain with us at whatever point they turn 22, they can finish the school year with us. So we basically have 18 to 22-year-olds that are part of our young adult program. The primary focus is on skill building, so vocational skills, independent living, social skills and communication, and then a really important part of their program is accessing the community in different ways. So they work, they have volunteer opportunities, and we have some really great partners who work with the young adult program. Continuation of services. So again, those students are with us for 4 years at the high school, and then they can continue up to an additional 4 years as super seniors beyond their graduation date. The program focuses on post-school outcomes, so education, training, employment, and again, independent living. So a little history. So the young adult program is not new. It has been a part of the fabric of Urbana for many, many years. Neither Beth or I could go find how many years, but for a very long time. We used to own a home across the street from the high school on Iowa Street, and it was called the Young Adult House for many, many years. At one point, we eventually used both the home. The program grew so much that we used the home across the street and a space at Wesley Community Church until 2021. And that was the church right on Green Street, Green and Goodwin, yes. And we were able to utilize multiple spaces for different needs for the students. Eventually, the young adult home across the street from the high school became irreparable, and it just was really, really old. And so, after a long time and serving many students, we had to. The home was torn down because it was no longer safe, and the program existed basically just at Wesley until 2021. So we had a very committed staff member who really was the kind of keeper of a lot of the tradition and knowledge around the program, who, following COVID, retired. And unfortunately, as you all know, we talk about this a lot, that the impact on our staffing due to COVID really hit us hard. And the young adult program was one of the programs that was hit the hardest. So we lost several staff members, and then the program moved back to UHS, and it has been there ever since. So the vision of the program, and this is, a lot of these words and language came right from the parents and the staff members. So real world living environment. So the importance of not having this program continue to exist as the high school is eventually these young adults will be hopefully able to independently live on their own. And so it's really important that we provide some real world scenarios, give them an opportunity to practice real world daily living skills in an environment where they get support from teachers. They get to practice, they get to learn those skills and do those skills over and over again. And it's a great way for us to bridge from the school to adulthood. I said this the last time I talked about the young adult house. It is, in what other space do you have 22-year-olds in a building with 14-year-olds who are freshmen and, them interacting in the same spaces. And so it gives them a chance to not be high schoolers anymore and to really see themselves as adults. It is a safe, supportive, and structured setting where we can teach life skills through the year that those students turn 22. They are with trusted adults who care for them and know them, and who work on developing their IEP goals, their individualized education program with the parents. And so these are adults who work with some of these students for 8 years. So the relationships are really, really strong. The vision of the program is also to allow the students to see the community in ways that their same age peers do. So many of our students, when they graduate from the high school, they get a job and they go to school, and they become adults. And so our students who are in the young adult program want to do those same things. They just do it in a more structured way. And so they're able to go out and in the community, and then the young adult home kind of serves as their home base and a space for them to learn with other students like them and with staff who care about them. Right now, the program is serving less than 10 students, but when we met with the teachers and looked ahead at some of the middle schoolers who are coming over soon, our current junior, 9th through 12th graders who will be in the next couple years moving into the program, we need a space much larger than the space that we are currently utilizing at the high school. They're using 2 classrooms, which is not nearly enough to serve the probably as many as 20 students in the next 2 to 3 years. So the student impact and the why. So young adult students often struggle with routines and independence. So having a home will allow them the opportunity to practice cooking, cleaning, having a daily schedule that is kind of their real setting. This model helps them build confidence through repetition and support. So the cooking was something when we talked to the teachers, we've had a couple opportunities to engage with them since we started talking about this. And cooking is a big deal. So you'll see a picture later on in the slides about with the kitchen, image of a kitchen. But cooking and being able to clean and take care of a home on their own, and just being able to keep to a schedule is really, really important. Being able to do those things in a routine, structured way will help them have the confidence that they need when they are doing those things, hopefully one day by themselves. We are seeing an increase in the number of students staying in the program because of our why and because families appreciate the program that they have been able to get over the years. So more and more families are choosing to stay beyond 4 years. So having a dedicated space for them is critical. The families that we've engaged with, hearing about what we're talking about doing is really causing some excitement with the families with the younger age students. A young adult home will provide options because not all those students stay for 4 years and they don't all have a traditional day. So one of the things that some of the parents, as they're making that transition, it's hard to realize that they may not be coming to the home, you know, like at 8 o'clock and staying till 3:16 as they do now at the high school. They may come, you know, at 10 o'clock and have a lesson or two and then go out and do a work study job and then come back in the afternoon. And so the traditional day is very different, and it really mirrors what a real work-life experience would be for them. So we've already had some stakeholder engagements. We started off, I think I mentioned it at an earlier board meeting, I probably should have put that on there as well, that we would be, when we talked about the architectural services with BLDD, I mentioned that the young adult program was one of the really high priority needs at the high school because of space. Their space is just completely inadequate to what they need right now. So we kind of talked about that when we talked about that agreement with the architects. They've already started their work at the high school and have engaged several departments already. So March 16th, during spring break, we had the board's facility committee come. Randy shared some early pricing. We talked a little bit about the design, and we talked about some options for either purchasing a new home or leasing a new home, or, you know, just what would be some things that we could consider. The facilities committee gave us their okay to go ahead and move forward with starting to look at some of our options. March 24th, the district administrators and building administrators, along with our BLDD folks, toured the whole building, and they also spent some time in the young adult and life skills existing spaces at the high school. On March 30th, district and building administrators and BLD met with the UHS and the young adult instructional team to discuss vision and needs. On April 8th, district and building administrators met with the current and future, some of the current and future young adult families and students. And we shared some of the options that we were considering. We discussed the current programming and their needs. And the option that we're going to share with you tonight from the meeting on the 30th and the meeting on the 8th were both kind of prioritized by staff and families as what they would like the board to consider moving forward. On April 13th, administration met with the department chair and the teacher at the high school who provides the most leadership for the program. And we sat down with him and started talking about some possible floor plans and what were the activities. So one of the activities that the BLDD architects gave the staff was really not to think about, oh, we need this, we need that, we want this, you know, like more so think about the program, think about the activities, think about the domains and the areas in which they provide instruction, and that should guide the floor plan of the space. And so they started doing that. They've created some really great documents that we've been using. So we are now to the point of really, we needed to have some possible floor plan ideas in order to be able to bring the board a reasonable assessment of what the approximate costs would be. So we needed to kind of have some of these conversations so we could get to where we are tonight, where we could actually talk about a budget and costs. So I'm gonna, before I show this, I'm gonna kind of go to this slide and go back. So some of the desired space needs that the staff and parents talked about in those engagement opportunities was having an open layout for instruction. They want to have a space where they can bring, you know, several students together and still do some teaching and instructing, and also opportunities for the students to continue to collaborate together. A bedroom area, so the floor plan that we're going to show you has a bedroom that would stay as a bedroom space to allow lots of opportunities for independent work and vocational skills. So that space, you know, for several weeks it might be set up as a bedroom. A few weeks later it might be set up as something else in order to teach the skills that the students needed. I already mentioned this, but cooking and kitchen needs is something that has been discussed basically in every space I've been in with young adult parents and students. So multiple kitchen supports and stations for multiple learners. So when you think about the kitchen and cooking and doing those things, there are so many safety things that could happen, like burning yourself if you take something out of the stove and it's too hot. Using sharp knives and being able to just cut and prepare food. I think we take for granted how we move around the kitchen and the things that we're able to do. But our young adult students need more practice with sharp things and hot things, and, you know, how do you wash the dishes safely and things like that. And so being able to navigate in the kitchen is something that is a really big part of their programming. Flexible space for vocational training with the ability to change as the needs for the students change. So one of the areas that they really want is they want to be able to just, you know, 1 month they might set up one of the rooms as like a stock room, and a lot of the students learn how to do things like stock shelves and do inventory. And we've had several students in the program who, before Walgreens closed a couple of the locations, we had students who worked at the Walgreens on Philo Road, and we had students who worked at the Walgreens in Champaign. So being able to be in a stock room and stock things and take inventory, that's just one of the examples of, like, they might set up one of those spaces to do some vocational training there. They would like the students to have the ability to work in the garden and in the yard. So right now, I think they already, Joan is here from our ag program, but they already kind of go out in that space a little bit. And so they want to be able to do things like teach them how to mow the grass and teach them how to maybe plant vegetables and plant things that then they can have for their families as food. And another additional, something we hadn't thought about price-wise was an attached garage. So originally we just kind of talked about having a shed, you know, where they could put some of the things that they weren't using at the time. But the more we talked with them and the more they talked about some of the activities, they really do need an attached garage where they can store things. So they want to have a space at certain times during the year where they can have fitness equipment and teach them how to exercise and take care of their bodies as they get older. And so they're going to need some spaces where they are going to have storage and, you know, like a lawnmower and things like that. So an attached garage was something that has come up. So now I'm going to go back to, you guys can stop me if you have questions, you know that, right? So the desired option that we've been discussing with staff and families is the concept of a modular home. And the modular home would be built on our existing district property. So thankfully, this board and boards from previous boards had a vision and a plan that eventually that space across the street from Urbana High School would give us the opportunity to grow. And we are starting to have some of those conversations. And so we're thankful that we don't have to go out and buy property. We already have property right across the street from UHS, so that's fantastic. And so we've been talking about putting a modular home on that space. One of the reasons we like the idea of a modular home is it's something that we can afford to do right now. We don't have to wait to save money for bonds for 10 years in order to do it. And we can pretty much design it to meet the needs of the program and not have to spend a whole lot more money to build a brick and mortar building. So this is just an example of a floor plan, you know, to show you a little bit about what they've been talking about. So you can see a lot of counter space, a kind of really expanded kitchen. We would have some counters that would be accessible for wheelchairs. They want to have multiple cooking stations. And then we have that primary bedroom over there on the side, and that would be set up as an instructional space. So we would put a ViewSonic board in there, some tables, so when they wanted to do some teaching and instruction, they could still do it from that space. Having that large bathroom is where they would actually teach bathroom skills, like how to clean the toilet, how to clean a bathtub, how to kind of do some of those other life skills. So I think they've asked for a shower, like a walk-in shower in one and a tub in the other, because, you know, it's important to be able to know how to take a bath and not have the water be scalding hot where you burn yourself when you get in. So I think some of these are things that our students need to learn. That back bedroom, number 3, would be that kind of flexible space where, you know, they might set it up as just a regular bedroom, and they might set it up as a hotel bedroom and, you know, teach the students how to make the beds and how to vacuum, and which are skills that they might be able to do if they got a job at a hotel in town. And then that front area is kind of a flexible space. So one of the things that the program has talked about for a very long time is running a coffee shop. And I think the Gerber folks already left, but if you've been out to Gerber, you've probably seen the amazing coffee shop that they have out there that they were able to build from some great donors who donated money for the students out there. And they run their own coffee shop. They make everything, and it kind of is self-funded. So the money that they raise continues to go into the coffee shop. Having a larger scale version of a coffee shop is something that the program really wants to do, like really teaching the students, you know, like they could be future baristas, right? Like learning how to, you know, they might be able to get a job where they could do something like that. And so that little room is kind of like a flex room, you know, like maybe 2 days a week people might come in and it might be a coffee shop. And so they're just trying to be really creative and really utilize every little bit of this space in different ways. And so those are just some of the few things that they've talked about. I don't know, Randy, do you want to say anything about this part? I think the BLDD folks would be working with us to make sure that and of course, whoever wins the bid, we're going to go to bid. And whoever we end up working with, they would make sure that the house is, of course, structurally sound, because, of course, they want to take out all the walls. We don't want any walls. We just want partitions. We want to be able to open it. So we got like, guys, we got to have some walls because we got to be able to hold up a roof. And so just kind of having some of those fun conversations with them have been really interesting. Of course, there's a room back there for the washer and dryer, because that, again, is another skill. Teaching the students how to wash their own clothes, how to fold clothes. Those are other vocational skills that they would be doing in that space. Randy, you want to say anything else about that?
Nothing I can think of. You did a pretty
Okay.
good job. But this desired floor plan is something that we'll have to work with the manufactured home people to, we may have to like flip-flop it. It depends on how we put it
Yep.
into so it's not necessarily going to be exactly like this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just to give to give the board an idea of some of the
What we're
things
looking
that the staff and the parents have been talking about. So yeah, this would not be the final, but we just wanted you to see like what we can get for 1,600 square feet. So it would be a nice size space for the program.
No.
No, we usually don't take comments, but. Oh, okay. Oh, at the end, yeah. That's usually for the board, but if you want to email it to me, Joan, I'll check my. Okay. So then, this is a picture from Nick Henderson, who is the department chair of the program. He's been doing a lot of the kind of leading the team a little bit. He's been working the closest with Randy and I and finding areas of inspiration. So he sent me this picture and I said, I will include it in just so the board can get the idea of kind of what we're talking about. So this is a kitchen. This is a picture of a kitchen at Parkland. And it's a similar kitchen space to what they would want. And then the mirror at the top is where they can kind of be preparing food, and they can, they can watch the instructor prepare while they're also making food. So, really turning it into more of an instructional space where they're, it's a workspace, but it's also their learning space. So this would be kind of what the kitchen space would look like, but probably just with more stoves. So the coffee shop concept I already talked about a little bit, but it would be the student run, their own little micro business, a great way to have to learn some hands-on job skills, community engagement opportunity. We would love to partner with anyone who would like to work with us to help get something like that off the ground. I know I mentioned that I can't remember the exact name of the donors who donated out to Gerber, but anybody who would want to partner with us to make that a reality for the program, we would love to work with you. And then it would be adaptable for multiple vocational uses. So there would not just be making coffee. They would be cleaning. They would be washing dishes. They would be taking orders and giving change. And so there's just so many different skills that would be built into doing something like a coffee shop. And then it's just something that the program has wanted to do for a really long time, and it is a long-standing program request. So now let's talk a little bit about money and, what we get for the money that we would be later on. It's on the agenda because time is of the essence here. In order to get them into a space before winter next school year, we need to move pretty quickly and make some decisions and get some approvals from the board. So we'd love to be able to work with the teachers over the next few weeks before they all leave for the summer. So the desired home size is approximately 1,600 square feet, basically similar to what the picture we showed you, but it might just be set up a little bit differently. Preliminary review of the current sales and advertisements reflect a base price of $159,000. I know it's springtime, so there are a lot of specials and some sales and things like that we'd want to take advantage of now, with some upgrades and other options of things that we might be able to get included. Whoever wins the bid would provide all or a portion of the required site preparation, so basically the foundation, depending on whatever final scope we decide to go with. A preliminary sight unseen estimate for a crawl space, which would need to be included, is approximately $21,000. I already mentioned the attached garage, and That cost would range from 25 to 40K, depending on the size of the garage, and what we're able to do on the site. So anybody who wins the bid and whoever we end up working with, they're going to want a deposit, of course, to start the work, right? So, anybody that you're working with, they want some money up front. So we would have to put down a deposit pretty quickly so we could start planning and doing some design. I think Randy said there is about a 2 to 3 week bid period. Is that what you're looking at? Okay. Typical payment from Randy's research is 50% due at the closing, and then 50% due once the home is placed on the foundation. So they would want about half of the money so they could start designing and building the home, and then for all their materials and the work that they're going to do. And then the other half, once they bring the home out and we put it on the foundation on the site, is when we would pay the rest of the balance. So here's some of the timeline. Again, just so we can get something in the ground before winter and it gets too cold. There's about, Randy, I should have said on those last two. Anything else you want to say about the financials on any of these?
No, the $2,000 would just be a check, and that would get us started with them coming out and actually looking at the site and being able to do the drawing that we want.
Okay. So timeline and next steps. So it takes at least 90 days, an estimated 90 days. It could be more based on, the needs and the dreams that the program has for the space. So, as long as it stays within a certain scope, it should take about 90 days. Installation and weatherproofing are typically completed right away after delivery. So the full project completion would be about 90 to 120 days. As I mentioned, next steps would be to start the bidding process, and we already have a site that we're going to go out and walk it again with BLDD tomorrow with some of the stakeholders. But right now the site is kind of on the west end of the Iowa Street, kind of across the street from the marquee, close to the garden. I don't know if the board remembers, but there used to be a home right there that we owned that was demolished. So you can kind of still see the footprint of that house a little bit over there. And the architects will review the scope of the project. They will work with the whoever manufactures the home to make sure that it is life and fire safety safe. So they'll work on, like the push doors that, like if we need push bars in certain spaces, what kind of extinguishers we need or smoke alarms and all those kind of life safety things. They'll assist us with the occupancy permit and work with the ROE to make sure that the home passes inspections and all those things.
Jennifer,
Any questions about that before?
so the home is going to be ADA compliant, like completely out, like?
Well, oh yeah, it has to be, because right now they don't have a student but at any point they could have students that would be needing a wheelchair accessible space. So yes.
Question about
Yeah.
the lot across the street. This house would be on what percentage of that lot? How much-
So that's why we've had the BLDD folks very much involved, because as they are talking with the, just kind of their vision of, what we might be able to do in the future for other spaces, we want to make sure that this project is not, we don't put it in a space where it gets in their way, basically. And so they've been working, between Randy and BLDD, the space that we're talking about would, it's actually on Race Street. So you know where the garden is, yeah.
Would that be like 25% of the whole property, or 50%, or?
Oh, it would probably take, no, this would be, much smaller than, yeah. Oh yeah, thank you.
The house footprint's 27 by 60. 27 feet by 60 feet.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Yep. So over there where we put the concrete pad where the kids were eating during COVID, they still go out there and have outside lunch. It would be over in that general area over there. Yep. Oh, yeah. John's pulled up the. Thank you, John. So you want to roll your mouse over it, go up a little bit. There you go. So that whole little area there. We hope to be able to expand the garden too. I know that's one of Joan's dreams. That's one of our dreams, is to be able to expand that garden space, which would benefit the ag program and would benefit the students because they really want to learn more about gardening and caring for a lawn and lawn care and things like that. So it would basically be, right around in that little, there's some trees there that are still there, the concrete pad, and then the garden is on the corner of Race and Iowa. So we've also talked about expanding the garden space for the ag program as well. Yeah, thanks for having that visual ready. So we'll continue with the board's blessing after tonight, collaborate with the teachers and staff and students. We've been gathering input from parents as we go, keep an open line of communication. We've been getting emails from Nick about every day. How about this and how about that? So that's been great. And then, of course, we want to engage more with our community partners. I should have probably put a slide in here listing all the places where our students work, but in the meetings that I've been in, I've found out that, we have about 30 different partners where our young folks go and work. So I mentioned Walgreens, but they also work at Salt and Light, and I'm not going to be able to remember them all. I should have put them on the slide, but there are a lot of people who are already partnering with the program to provide volunteer and work opportunities for our students right now. So we want to engage more with those folks to, see if they might want to financially support anything that we're doing in putting certain things in the home. So our request for the night is we will tonight in action items request that the board allow us to move forward with continue to do some more detailed planning. We can start the bidding. We have given you a price that includes everything that the estimated final cost includes everything that we mentioned on the previous slides. In addition to some of the appliances and we're going to be able to move over quite a bit of the furniture that they're already using, like the tables and things like that from the classrooms. But there will be a need to have some additional furnishings like beds and things like that they'll need for those vocational pieces. So right now, I think the Randy, you said this 250 is kind of on the high range, so I think we were kind of going a little higher instead of lower.
Yeah, with all the possible needs they might throw at us. They're already talking like one electric stovetop and a gas stovetop, so they can teach kids how to cook both ways. Because they move into an apartment, it might be gas stove or it might be electric stove, or just like one example.
Things we had not thought of, right? I had not thought of that they need to learn how to do both. You don't know if you're in an apartment if the apartment's going to have gas or electric, and so that means we have to run gas in there and we have to have the electrical. So that is additional cost just with the site. So I think we tried to estimate on the higher end just so we didn't have to come back to you again and ask for more money, but to build the modular unit and hopefully do all the things that so far we've talked about with staff and parents, we think $250,000 would be a good estimate. And those funds would come from our 1% facility sales tax funds that we get every month. And we right now have been earning quite a bit more there than we have in years past, which helps to be able to, and the fact that we can pay half of it when we kind of build the home, the scope of the design, and then pay the other half, when the home is completed, gives us a little time in between there as well. And as you know, that 1% sales tax money can only be used for capital projects. So this is a really good use of that money. In addition to, we use it to pay, we use it for working cash and for bonds and for other things. But this would be, you know, not a significant cost from those funds based, if you look at what we get in a year for the 1% sales tax. I don't know if Mary Ann wants to say anything else about that, but. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're getting about, what, 4.5, 5 million a year now from that?
We're getting about 400,000 a month, anywhere between 400 to 500,000 a month.
It used to be in the three, you know.
Yeah.
Typical used to be like 350, 360.
So it's around 5 million a year now.
Yeah. So it's gone up.
Randy, will the site prep that cost include reconnecting to the city services?
It includes the running of the, let me check here, lines, but maybe not the hookup.
The sanitary.
Yeah, to the, sorry, I meant to find that out. I think we still have to do the hookup to the
Probably,
sanitary and
that's not
water and gas.
significant. Just curious, thanks.
We left at that site, we happened to leave the water hookup out there.
Okay.
In hopes that the garden may someday be able to get water.
Right, right.
So we did leave that one out there. The other ones have all been terminated back to the main line.
Okay. Not horrible, but.
I have a couple questions. One of that I asked you, I think, in our committee meeting, but just making sure the public is aware that does this project have to follow school building code?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, and I've talked to the ROE about it.
Okay.
Yep.
And
we have to have an architect sign off on it. The modular home would already have the engineering permits and stamps that it would need, but we just have to have an architect sign off on it, and BLDD said they would do that for us.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to build anything under school building code for that amount of money. Just putting that out there.
A stick house would be closer to 300,000. Same house.
Yeah.
Stick built.
The other question I have, though, is there any concern with this being a modular home that it won't last as long as like a traditionally built building?
No, I asked the people out at Riley's about that too. This is where I got my information from. And they said they have homes that have been up for 40 years and still look good. There was one that just sold north of Urbana, up by the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the guy's name that owns it, but he bought it 20 years ago and it just sold for $500,000. So we know he didn't pay $500,000 for it 20 years ago. And they're putting them up out at Stone Creek. They're up at Behringer.
Okay.
They're putting them all over the city's allowing it and saying they're fine.
Thanks.
Another thing that I think Jennifer mentioned something about like a sale price. That sale price goes through the, I believe it's the middle of next month. But once we put the $2,000 down, we're in for that price. And it'll go up like $35,000 if we don't take advantage of that.
Okay. Thanks for that context. Anyone else have questions?
So would this be connected to the school communication system? You know, the UHS I mean, like, I don't know.
Like
We used to, you know, like you'd have a button to push and it would ring in the principal's office, that kind of thing.
It'll have a district phone and be on district network.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
It'll have a district phone that they can call.
Okay, it
to
will
the
have all
office
of
and
that.
everything and be on district network.
And fire alarms and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yep.
And
Carbon
or
monoxide
red
detectors and
alert
everything.
alarms and all stuff like
Security cameras and.
That would be up to Mr. Gutzmer. They want to put a camera over there? Probably, yeah.
Let's just curious.
And does it, maybe a stupid question, but does it include like painting the rooms and
They would
stuff like
come,
that?
Set whatever color we pick, it would come as in that color. Yep. So if we wanted it white or light gray or tan, whatever, they would the whole building, the whole house would be painted the same color.
Oh, it just comes that way?
Yep.
We
Okay.
would choose the colors, but yeah, then they do that for us.
We would choose
Oh, it
color,
just- okay.
countertops,
I-
counters.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
Sinks, faucets, everything,
Okay.
lighting.
Anyone else?
So I'm reading Joan's email about the house and the connection of the house to the garden. And so I think these are all things that we can talk about with BLDD. So, yeah. So thank you for sharing those in writing so we can talk about them.
Last call. Any questions or comments right now? All right. I thank you for that administrative report.
We'll be voting on that later.
Right. There's an action item later in our agenda to progress with this. 10.2 is an administrative report around our district crisis team update.
Yep, so that's me. We held a reunification drill earlier, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information about what we've been changing. I know we had talked about some of this at a previous meeting, I think in October, but just as a reminder, we've been working to align the district's crisis response with the National I Love You Guys protocol. So at the start of this year, we had kind of lots of buildings, we're doing lots of different things, and we've wanted to kind of unify the entire district under one system. So things are really consistent from building to building. It helps us, it helps district administrators, it helps law enforcement when everything's consistent. So we've, for the standard response for the initial crisis, we've kind of moved from code pink, code yellow, hard lockdown, soft lockdown, to these 5 things, which are hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. And then each of those kind of actions comes along with some directives. So you can have like hold in your classrooms if you're in the east wing of the building, which might be if there's a problem in the hallway, or lockdown, locks lights out of sight is what our Crisis Go app says. So this is all also tied in with our Crisis Go app. So when everybody initiates emergency or a drill, like it has the same consistent thing throughout the district. And I will say administrators in buildings have been doing a exceptionally good job of using Crisis Go and all the new response protocols. I know probably Dr. Ivory Tatum, wherever you are, on an airplane, in a dinner at Luda, your phone is going to go off and beep really loud and let you know. Oh, mine went off on an airplane. So that was the standard response. The standard unification plan, just to remind you, is if we have an emergency where students need to be out of the building, we're going to take them to somewhere else where we reunify them with their parents. If there's a fire or something bad happening in the building, we don't want to also be running our reunification from that same building. So we have a different place that we start to take people. So some of the changes we've made this year to the reunification system, and if you've been here a little bit, you may recall we did a reunification drill with one team at the middle school back in 2022. One team is 100 kids. So since then, we have done a complete overhaul of the reunification system to, again, align with the I Love You Guys standard reunification method. We've integrated this all with our Crisis Go system. The initial one we did 4 years ago, we had some paper forms, and then we also had kind of a homemade by me system in Google Sheets to track kids. So this is a lot more robust system that pulls things directly from our student database, pulls guardian and parent information directly from the student database, so we can make sure that kids are getting connected with the right people. We also ran, you'll see a little video here in a second, a full drill with students and parents to identify issues and areas for improvement. We did this with the 6th grade center, so instead of the 100 kids we did last time, this was with 300 kids. And if you're not a math major, that's 3 times more. So it was a lot of extra kids and extra problems. But we conducted multiple trainings and walkthroughs with the district crisis and reunification staff. We did a walkthrough at the site. We did a couple different tabletop exercises. And then we had kind of some training videos as well as some individual trainings for those people. So why we did this? It is important, which we learned, to practice the entire system from start to end. It's great to practice it when it's not an actual emergency and parents are only at kind of like a 5 or a 6 instead of already up at a 8 or a 9. We wanted to test the new I Love You Guys protocols. We wanted to test the parent communications, the way we were getting information out to everybody. We wanted to practice using kind of a hybrid paper and with the Crisis Go reunification. This is important. Dr. Ivory Tatum got a lot of feedback from people that if there's an actual emergency, you can't always count on the cellular network being up. You can't always count on the network being up. So to always have that backup. And then we wanted to identify additional needs for our response and what we had. So a lot of staff had a lot of new roles. We have a lot of new staff since 2022. So getting everybody familiar with what they're doing and familiar with the site where we're doing all the reunification at. So we also, since we had an entire building that was empty, we had a great opportunity for law enforcement to do some drills as well. So they did some drills in the school while all the students were at the reunification. So I have a short video here I would like to share with you. Get that over here.
Over the past year, Urbana School District has implemented the national I Love You Guys crisis response and reunification protocols. On April 7th, 2026, Urbana 6th Grade Center conducted a reunification drill to reunite students with their families after a simulated disaster at the school to practice and improve on crisis processes. As part of the drill, students were bused to the district's reunification site. Upon arrival, teachers led their students to their designated area inside. Prior to students and teachers arriving, the reunification team set up, briefed staff, and distributed supplies. Greeters were stationed at the entrance to guide parents and guardians as they arrived. They were given a form to fill out and directed to the check-in table where their identity was confirmed. Once checked in, parents and guardians proceeded to the waiting area and their students' names appeared on a video board. This board signaled to the staff inside the student waiting area to bring the student out to complete reunification. Once reunited with their students, parents and guardians proceeded to the exit table where their identity was checked a final time before leaving the building with their student. First aid will be available for any students with minor injuries. There will also be counselors on site to assist students as needed.
So that's the video of kind of how everything went. It was normally in a reunification, students would have a lot more time at the school, and then we would spend probably many hours reuniting students with their families. This was all compressed down to 2 hours from the start of the emergency until kids had to be back at school if they didn't get picked up to get on their buses to go home the normal way. So it was very quick. Some of the key takeaways from going from our last reunification to this one was we just need more staff at all the positions throughout the process. There were a lot of bottlenecks. Every position needs a backup. So every person there needs a backup person in case they're not available, because a lot of times people aren't in the district. You're allowed to have a sick day. And then also every system needs a backup, from our AV systems, network systems, check-in systems. We expanded our parent and guardian list. Our initial list just had kind of the primary parents and guardians. And so we expanded that to kind of all of the ones who might be coming to pick up those students for future times we run through this. And then even if it's not a full exercise with 300 students all getting on buses and moving around town. We think that every year we need to have like a refresher with our staff just to make sure all of the equipment's still where it needs to be, everybody still remembers their roles and what they need to be doing. So that was the reunification. I'll pause there for just a second if you guys have any questions about that portion.
I do. So my question is for like the high school, would they still go under this process as well? And do we have accommodations to fit that many students in reunificating?
Our anticipation is that if we had to do a full drill with the high school, a full reunification with the high school, that a lot of those students that have their own transportation would just leave on their own. So we would be working with probably a similar number of students to the middle school. The middle school has about 600 students. So if we had to do a full reunification with them, we do have some additional areas. We would have to split people up into areas by their grade levels.
But how would you know which students left in a vehicle?
We would have to be working with the students and the staff to get information about them, and some of them, if they leave, they probably aren't going to tell us. So it would be, that's one of the challenges, yeah.
Yeah, with high school students, they're going to just get in the car and go. And so we have talked about, I think the nice thing about using the app that we tried, you know, John mentioned we used the app this time, which was a learning curve for all of us and staff included. But I think having the digital capability to be able to do something where a student could check in and teachers can go in and check in. This student emailed me, this student put some, you know, like, because we're going to tell the kids, wherever you go, just let someone know where you are. And so if they do that in Google Classroom, if they send an email to the teacher, hey, 4 of us got in Johnny's car and we're at Johnny's house, and then we know who those kids are, we can go into the app and account for them that they're safe and, you know, we know where they are. So that's kind of the plan for the high schoolers, because we do know now that most of them can drive, and they have an ability to kind of leave on their own where most of the other students don't. So.
And we have, over the last 2 or 3 years, been working to get more of the high schoolers to have their contact information in Skyward. So it's not just trying to go through their parents and guardians to find them, but being able to contact them directly. So we can send out that same mass communication that we do through Parent Square now. We can send that to students with like a little check-in sheet. So if they're all going to do it, is still a little bit of a challenge.
On the I Love You Guys website, it showed the procedure on what they suggested. It might have been one of their first attempts or first edition. They might have changed it. But what they indicated was that there were different places where the parents go to. So was that confusing, or did you utilize that? Did the parents have to go to different stations throughout the process, and how many different places did they have to go through?
So that's a good question. So when the parents show up, they're met outside at kind of a greeting area by the greeters. Their job is to explain the process. They give them the paper form to fill out and explain what parts they need to. It's the same form for K through 12, so some of the things might not be applicable for middle school students. They don't have like a classroom teacher or things. But then explain the process. Then there's a checker who makes sure that they're one of the people who's able to pick up that student. They give them the student name. Then they check the student as being able to be released. There is a reunifier who gets the student from the kid hold area and brings them to the transfer area where they meet up with the parent. And then their identity is verified one more time with their license by an exit accountant, who then releases them to go out together.
How many different steps or places did the parents have to go in order to complete the whole process?
So the minimum is 4. If they don't have their ID or we have to verify their identity some other way, it could be 5. There's an exceptions table where we can verify people's identity a different way if they don't have their state-issued ID. And then there's some other areas, as we mentioned in there, first aid and counseling. So on the chance that there's students there, they might have to kind of wait a little bit more. But most of them and I don't know, Ben, did you go through
I went through, it seemed like 2 stations, places where you stop.
So you had somebody greet you at the door.
Yeah.
And then they checked your ID.
Right.
And then you waited in the hallway.
It's like 4 steps, but like 2 stations.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, it's really Tuesday.
Yeah, I thought it was, but though it seemed like complete chaos, I think it went pretty well. That being said.
That has been the feedback
Yeah.
I've gotten from several people.
Necessary chaos.
So if there's no more questions about that, I did have a couple other security updates. This summer, we're going to be doing a big radio update, not like a stereo radio, but our handheld radios. We have some that the firmware, they won't take any new firmwares anymore, so we're going to be upgrading some of the older radios, reprogramming all of the radios with some additional channels that allow us to do interoperability between all of the buildings. So if any building in the district has to work with any other building, either for sports or an emergency where they have to like go to a different building, that'll be an option that they have. And then another interoperability channel for admins if they need to do things together. So we're also going to be offering some additional radio training, has been some of the feedback that we've gotten that since we've done the reprogramming, people aren't always positive what they're supposed to be doing. We have been performing some additional random screenings at the 6th grade center for metal detectors and at UMS, kind of heightened screenings throughout the year. We'll continue to do that next year, working with those building admins to kind of find times to do that. And then finally, I wanted to let you guys know kind of where we are with the cell tower. I know we're pushing into spring and people are getting a little antsy with all the sports coming up. Ameren, since you guys approved the easement, did do their final bore. That finished last Wednesday. The electrician should be here to reconnect all the lights and equipment this week, I think maybe either tomorrow or Thursday. And then they should be doing the rest of that flat work, all the concrete should also be this week. So probably another, they told me 5 weeks before they're actually passing traffic on that tower. So when you can expect to see your signal be a little bit better. They told me 5 weeks, so if it might be 6 or 7. But thank you guys.
Any other questions or comments for John? All right, thank you. Moving on to our action items. First up is our consent agenda, which I will read in its entirety, item by item. And if anybody wishes to have an individual item pulled from the consent agenda, indicate that, and we'll do so. First up are our minutes, 12.1 from our March 10th business meeting, our March 16th District Facilities Property Committee meeting, our April 7th study session, and our April 14th District Parent Teacher Advisory Committee meeting. 12.2 are our bills and checks for February, March. Ed fund bills to the tune of the $3.8 million. Operation maintenance fund bills for $508,000. Transportation fund bills for $746,000. Working cash bonds for $336,000. Tort for $111,000, life and safety levy for $587.46, payroll, salary, and benefits for $10.7 million. 12.3 are assorted personnel items, which were published in our agenda packet. 12.4 is appointment for a school auditor. This is to appoint Forvis Mazars LLP as auditors for the 2025-26 audit, at a fee of $58,500 for the audit and $2,600 for the Champaign County Mental Health Board grant. That's an increase over last year's audit. 12.5 is appointment of treasurer. We're requesting approval to appoint Elizabeth Walden to serve as a district treasurer for the 2026-27 school year at a salary of $5,200, which is flat from this fiscal year. 12.6 is the CU Mass Transit MTD contract renewal, and 12.7 is the Quest Food Management Services contract renewal at an increase of 2.7 CPI, increased totals for $3,591,000. And 12.8 is a resolution authorizing and directing the sale or disposal of personal property of the district. This is disposal of a laminator that's not working, 3 fryers that are not working, and countertop aero gardens. Does anybody wish to have any of these removed and discussed independently?
If we remove 12.7, we'll be able to have a discussion later about it? Sure. Okay, yes.
Okay, so then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent items as read, except for 12.7.
So moved.
Second.
So I've moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, or discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
And Member Hickson?
Yes.
Motion passes. So let's return to 12.7. Is there additional context you'd like to have or question?
Yeah, I'd just like more information. This is our 3rd year. Marianne, if you could give me some more information about the renewal, and how many years can we renew without having to put a bid out again? That's
Yeah,
what was
so
on-
this is our last extension, it's my understanding, so we will have to take it out for bid next year. There's been some changes in Quest, like management and things like that, so we've seen some positive feedback in the last couple of months since they've added to their team. They're still adding to their team. They're gonna have a chef that's coming on to their management staff and Monday. And so the overall increase is, I just did quick math, it's like 190,000 over this fiscal year. So I think at this point we are pretty happy with our contractual services and moving forward.
And I just want to add, I observed, and I forgot the man's name who was supervising at the high school. There was chaos in the cafeteria, and I really thought that the team a Quest team that got together and worked through the problem did a wonderful job.
Good.
And made it so that service could continue. So I was really impressed
Good.
with not only the quality of the food, but also the response to the students and what needed to be done.
That's great feedback, thank you.
Thanks. Then the chair would entertain a motion to approve the renewal of the Quest Food Management Services contract for the 26-27 school year with a requested 2.7 CPI increase.
I move that we renew their contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, or discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Motion passes. The Health and Wellness Committee is going to spend probably a large part of next year preparing the RFP to go out for bid for this contract for the following year. We do have a number of individual action items as well. First off is 13.1, which is our gifts. The United Way donated $500 to support the district's first neighborhood night on April 22nd. The U of I Credit Union donated $1,000 to the Urbana High School baseball program. Altrusa, thank you. Gosh, I'm just stumbling over names tonight. Donated $750 to help provide supplies for kindergarten readiness bags. Susan K. Heinrichs donated $1,000 to the Urbana High School Science Olympiad team. Charlie Weissman donated 25 classroom sets of textbooks for the AP Environmental Science, plus 1-year digital book access valued at $4,500 to the Urbana High School. Is there a motion to accept the gifts and send out the appropriate thank yous?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for these generous gifts. 13.2 is our district consolidated plan. This has been discussed at prior meetings. It's our plan that has to be submitted to ISB in order to be compliant with state regulations. Is there a motion to accept the approval of the district consolidated plan was presented, was it 2 weeks ago or? Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, discussion?
I would like to make a comment. It's really hard to read the plan when it doesn't fit on the page. There was no way you could read the end of sentences. And then I thought that people came and talked about the plan. So I had some questions, but I will email them to, I guess it would be to Tanya.
Yeah, Tanya, yes. Tanya is taking the lead since she's the main grant person, so yes.
Okay, okay. And one question for the board, it kept talking about board goals within the plan. And were they talking about ISBE board goals? Because they really weren't, I looked back, they weren't our board goals. And do we have to coordinate that in the future?
It should have been our board goals, so the goals that you guys set last year for
Right.
things like better
I
communication.
looked back at them. I wasn't sure they were the
the
same, but,
language. Okay,
okay. Okay,
Yeah, they
that's
should
it.
be the
I'll,
same.
they should be the same, yes.
Yeah, well, one thing Dr. Aubrey Tatum does actually is just, she does a good job of actually referencing them in the agendas too. Any further questions, comments, or discussions? Motion on the floor? Roll call, please.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley,
Yes.
President Pulowski.
Yes.
Member Cheryl,
Yes.
Member Hickson,
yes.
Member Marabou,
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes.
13.3 is our young adult program space needs, which is covered earlier this evening. This is a request to solicit bids and proceeds with the program space needs that the total cost is currently estimated at $250K, but it's all going to depend on the bidding. Is there a motion for the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, or discussion? Roll call, please.
Vice President Baxley,
Yes.
President Pulowski.
Yes.
Member Cheryl,
Yes.
Member Hickson,
Yes.
Member Marabou,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes.
Motion passes. 13.4 is our CU Mass Transit lease agreement. This is for the 1101 East University property that we're currently using as our central office. This is an extension with half the money going into escrow for future project with MTD. Is there a motion to accept the lease that we discussed at our last meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
President Pulowski,
Yes.
Member Cheryl,
Yes.
Member Hickson,
Yes.
Member Marabou,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley.
Yes.
Motion passes. 13.5 is our cleaning contract bid. So, I guess you guys could you provide a little context for the board on the bidding process and some of the state requirements with regards to putting out the RFP and accepting bids, evaluating them.
Sure. The Mary Ann can help me with this too, I guess. Oh, yeah, it is.
A little closer,
Look,
maybe.
sorry.
It's all good.
When we take stuff out to bid, long story short, we basically have to go with the lowest responsible bid. While it may not be what we want, it's what the state requires us to do. I don't know what was your other question?
Well, I mean, were there any bids that weren't that came in that weren't deemed as responsible?
Yes, we did have two bidders that we deemed were not responsible bidders. They didn't acknowledge the addendums, and their experience did not meet what we had asked. They didn't have any school cleaning experience. They were a smaller cleaning company that just did some homes and maybe a small business or something.
All right. Is there a motion for the floor then, just so we can begin discussion on the item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Okay, now, any questions, comments, or discussion for the board?
Just piggybacking on the last question, how many bidders were there?
There were 7.
7
We had
bidders.
7 bid packages were opened, 5 were responsive.
Well, tonight we heard from Mr. Taylor, who indicated that there was something in the proposal, or for the request for a proposal, that said price will not be the only factor. Was that included in that?
In the bid package,
Yes.
I
I think that's more in reference to if they're responsive and being responsive and responsible bidder. And so then we have to go through the next step, and the lowest bids that are being brought to you tonight were the responsible bidders per, like, background checks and reference checks and.
Yeah, I imagine that would be a confusing statement, because I'm confused by it too, so.
I also was listening to him, and he said that there are codes required for companies to be local, the office to be local, and the warehouse to be local.
We do require that to be local, yeah. But like with the company that we had a few years ago, ABM, they just had an office and a warehouse that was, or an office that they used as a warehouse, that met the requirement that we have in our contract, which ESS cleaned.
And all these companies meet that requirement?
They will, yes.
They will?
They,
Okay.
yes, they said they would. I had many conversations with them.
Okay. So they don't have to meet it in order to be accepted?
Correct.
Okay.
And they have 30 days, once this is approved, to be, to meet those. And they say they already have a, I don't know what, he didn't give me he said he was gonna give me a list of businesses that they do that are somewhat local, but they did say they had a manager that was about 20 minutes away right now. So I don't know if that's like Decatur or I don't know where.
Yeah, this is a very difficult decision, because of the fact that we are a small community and we want to support our businesses in our community, especially one where the person has shown up for our schools and for our community in many different ways. But I know there's also an obligation as a board member to follow state law and regulations, so I would like to put that on a table and get some more information about that.
We hear you and know that administration had some reservations, and, you know, we consulted with council and did our due diligence of what is our requirement, and so this was the recommendation
The recommendation from council?
from council.
Yeah, I mean, we were at the risk of being sued by the winning bidder, the winning compliant bidder, if we just decline it and go with anybody else.
Well, in the event that this passes, I'm sorry that we have to, that it works out that way.
In my discussions with other school districts, there may be a way that the next time it goes out to bid that we don't have to take the low bid. They said they would work with me on some wording that even the lawyers will accept, that we don't have to take the low bid.
And when would that be? How much, this bid is
This
for
is
how
for
many
3
years?
years.
For, what, how many?
3.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mary Ann, would you be able to share why the attorney, I know you said that was their, but what points did the attorney give as to why we have
Yeah,
to do this?
there was no disqualifying factors for the winning bid. They're based off of, like, looking at the bid specifications, there was nothing that would disqualify them as being a responsible bidder. So even though we don't have the relationship with them, they have worked for other school districts. They had good references. They were lowest. So it was all of the things that were, they met all of the requirements that were in our bid specifications.
having worked in school buildings for a long time here and worked when the schools were really well taken care of and sometimes when they weren't, it makes a huge difference. And having a local supervisor who I think you said has to be within 20 miles or 60, I mean, I can't remember, it doesn't matter. But having a local supervisor is way different from having a local manager who has substitutes and people who could come in and fill in. Because when people don't show up at school, I can remember days where that was really, really, really important. And so I'm hopeful that in the future, if it's true that we've talked, and I'm sure it is, you've spoken to a lawyer and we have to accept this. What I would like to say is if, in fact, there is too much lag time before there's an office here or a supervisor here or a school doesn't get a sub when they need one, that then we look immediately into changing. And then we look to write the grant, not the grant, I'm sorry, the proposal, the bid for proposal, in such a way that we honor those very, very important aspects of the work, because it makes an incredible difference for teaching and learning, and it's an important part of the school.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I'd just like to follow that up. I don't think responsible is a binary word. I think there are levels of responsibility that some people can provide, and so I would be curious if there's a legal definition of what responsible is in this case or any other case, but I'm not a lawyer, I guess, so I guess we have to take their word for it.
When does this have to be decided upon? When does it have to be approved?
When does
Is
the
there a
contract end?
certain date toward, so many days between now and they start the contract, or
The end of June, last
end
day
of June?
So what happens if this company does what a previous company has done before and just kind of goes out in the middle?
I was not here, I don't believe, when the first company did it. That was under Oda Dossett, the director of facilities then. I remember him talking about it. I think I came in right after that. I was here for ABM, and ABM walked out the day before I got the approval from the board to let him go. So I don't know if they found out or something, so I didn't get the pleasure of saying toodaloo. But we have a fine system set up in our cleaning contract, and with ABM, the company that was that failed last time, we just fined them so much that they didn't, however many months they were here, they didn't even make a dime. They actually paid us, which, I mean, they really didn't pay us because they just never did, even though they're supposed to, but they didn't, we never paid them. Or we never ever paid them the full amount of their contract because of the fine system that we had set up. We did give them a little bit of grace at the beginning, like, hey, you're new, you're not fully staffed, we understand, we're not fully staffed either. However, it just kept going on and on and on, and after meeting with them 2 and 3 and 4 times a week, after the first month, we started fining them just a little bit at a time, and then finally it was every day we were giving them thousands of dollars worth of fines, and then just we just couldn't do it, couldn't take it. The building, you know, we're getting complaints from the teachers, the buildings. The emails to the board were about the cleaning. So we just, they broke ties with us, but I was going to break ties with them the day before, the day after.
So where would we be at if something like that happened again? Like to find another company that would just pick up and then it kind of runs?
That depends on, I guess, look in the back of the room. If we're able to get a company that isn't upset that they didn't get the contract, you know, I mean, they would have to restaff everything. They would have to, you know, possibly get managers, the 15 or 16 people, rehire those people, because I'm sure that if there are people that they have currently, they would either use them at other jobs or have to let them go. And then they would have to go through the restaffing process too.
The last time this happened, we reached out to multiple companies. We had different companies clean different buildings. So it was kind of
That's
a
how we ended up
patchwork of
where we are now.
contracts to get us to the point where we could bid it out again.
And we knew really only one company would be able to handle the high school and middle school. And myself and Tyler reached out to them and had many conversations. And before the other company was let go, to make sure that they were willing to do it, and they were. So probably have to have those same conversations again, and hopefully they would help us out again, bail us out.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So in review, we're obligated to take the lowest bid, and the difference was 4.5%.
Yeah.
Which is, according to my calculator, is $135,000 at least. So that's what we're voting on.
Yep. I mean,
It's, I had these questions.
It was really close to that, Sherry. It was really close to that number.
We have a motion on the floor. If the board wishes, then they want to consult consult a lawyer with regards to understanding the risks of voting no on this. We could do that, so we could hear directly from them and vote on this at a future meeting. But I mean, from my personal experience, I think we're kind of obligated to vote yes or.
So even that was kind of my question. The district signed on to this bid and signed on to the contract, but they have to work with the board, and if what happens if the board says, no, we don't want to do it?
We haven't signed anything yet. There
Yeah.
is. This is us bringing. We took
Right,
out
right,
the
that's
bid.
you bringing it, but what I'm saying,
Yeah.
there's been a verbal, I would think, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's more than verbal, right? We published what's called an RFP,
Right.
which
Mhm.
describes exactly what services we're seeking.
Right.
We opened that up to the public. We
Right.
received a number of bids, 2 of which weren't found compliant with the RFP, and then we're required to go with the lowest compliant response that comes back from multiple companies out there. So there's a contract waiting for us to approve, waiting for us to sign, and we're kind of required by law to go with the lowest compliant bid. But if the board wishes to hear that from a lawyer, wishes to understand what the risks are of voting no, we can do that. We can like definitely defer this vote for a future meeting so you can hear that advice. But I've been doing this for 15 years, so I kind of know what the risks are. But if you want to hear that directly from a lawyer yourselves, that's fine. We could defer this to a different meeting, so you can hear that. But basically, the company that we vote no on has the right to sue us for not accepting their bid.
The totals are, for the 3-year contract, for the high school, middle school is $122,260.83. 6th grade centers, $43,479.96. And adult ed, Tiger Academy is a 3-year difference of $16,777.50.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious in the research that I did too. That's what we have to do, so.
President Kowalski, could we vote on each company separately though? Instead of 13.5A, 13.5B?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. We should probably do this as two separate votes. So we should probably
There'll be three separate.
have a friendly amendment to the cast motion that this should really be 13.5A first for $1.492 million for Property Classic Corporation for Central Office, Dr. MLK, Leal, Yankee Ridge, and Thomas Payne. Who made the motion? Who made the second?
Ben
I
and
did.
Lindsay.
So I would request a friendly amendment to the motion to limit it to the 13.5A.
So moved.
So do you accept for the friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have 13.5A on the floor. If the board wishes to go forward with a vote, we can, or if the board wishes to definitely defer until we can have a talk with council, that's that board's,
I don't think it's necessary.
okay.
I have one question. Is this company a local company?
I don't think either of them are.
Pardon?
I don't think either of them are.
All three of
Pardon,
them?
which ones? The
Property Classic?
Property Classic is, yes.
Oh, Property Classic is, okay.
They were one of the companies that, when ABM left, helped bail us out many years ago.
Okay.
During the last bidding process, they did not get any of the bids because they weren't low bid at the time. But they are local, yes.
Okay.
They do the City of Champaign building, the Champaign Park District, so they do some larger things as well. I've talked to all the companies that we've given, or possibly going to give the contracts to, and they're all able and willing to get staffed up, and they're ready to go.
And Property Classic Corporation is located in Champaign? Or in
Champaign
Urbana?
or Urbana, yeah. They are Urbana.
They're Urbana?
Yes.
Good.
Thanks for the clarification. Okay, motions on the floor. Any further questions, comments? Motions. All right, I guess it's time to vote. Roll call, please.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes, and now for 13.5B. This is for HES Facilities Management, a 3-year contract for $2.7 million, covering cleaning services for Urbana High School, Middle School, Urbana 6th Grade Center, and for this building, Tiger Academy, and Urbana Adult Ed. Is there a motion for the floor to accept that winning bid?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Hickson? Yeah.
No.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
Motion passes. 13.5C is for campus general cleaning. This is for Dr. Preston L. Williams, Urbana Early Education, and laundry service and warehouse cleaning. This 3-year contract, total of $525,600. Is there a motion for the floor?
So moved.
They are local as well, sorry. Yep, they're either Urbana or I know that the owner just moved to Mahomet, but I don't think the business is over. I think the business is still here in Urbana.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf? Yes. Member Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Motion passes. 13.6 is similar. This is for contracted garbage and recycling. This was bid out, and we have two separate winning bids to vote on. Is there any additional context you want to give, Randy?
Yeah, April 13th, we had the bid opening. We had a total of 3 responsive bidders, submit proposals, Republic Services, Tyson's, and GFL. After reviewing the bids, lowest responsible bidder are as follows: GFL for 96-gallon totes, 2-yard dumpsters, 4-yard dumpsters, and 8-yard dumpsters. The buildings they will receive contracts for would be Dr. Martin Luther King, Leal, Thomas Paine, 6th Grade Center, Yankee Ridge, excuse me, the Urbana Middle School, Dr. Preston Williams, Urbana Early Childhood, Adult Education Tiger Academy, and for the high school, the 96-gallon totes only. And then Tyson's will be awarded facilities and the facilities roll-off and the district as-needed roll-off services, and the Urbana High School trash compactor. Based on our evaluation, all bidders were seemed responsible. Facilities feels comfortable with the recommended vendors and their pricing. We ask for approval.
All right, thank you. So let's start with 13.6A for GFL Environment. This is for all elementary buildings, secondary buildings, Tiger Academy, and Urbana Adult Ed. Again, pricing is dependent on how much we use it. Is there a motion for the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moving to second. Any further questions, comments, discussion?
Yeah, I have a question regarding price will vary per needs. What is the range, or, I mean, what is the cost, or, give any dollar amount?
The dollar amounts vary depending on how much they get used. So GFL, I can just go through them real quick. Martin Luther King, the 96 gallon totes that we use for like recycling, they had a price of $9 for the 3. Like the 2-yard dumpster would be $16, and the 8-yard dumpster is $31, for a total of $56 every time they come to our go to.
Yeah, we have that on the back. Is that where you're reading now?
Yes.
So is this like comparable to what we've paid before? Is it more?
Cheaper.
It's okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Since we went out to bid it, yep, it's less than it was last year.
Okay.
All right. Any further questions, comments? A roll call vote is in order.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Sherrill?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Motion passes. Last up is 13.6B, awarded to Tyson's. This is for facilities and district as needed roll-off dumpster services, and the Urbana High School trash compactor. Again, price is dependent on how much we use these services. Is there a motion for the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Sherrill?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Motion passes. It is now time for a superintendent's report.
Jennifer, can I say one more thing? Yeah. About the cleaning contract. By taking it out for bid this year, we were able to save a significant amount of money over the 3 years. Other than getting a company we may not be happy with, you don't know yet, we did save us quite a bit of money.
Thank you. Thank you for that context, Randy.
Yay, so we have a little photo op here from Altrusa, which member Langendorf is part of. And to the left there is Polly Hill, a retiree from Champaign Unit 4, who's also part of Altrusa. They donated $1,000 to the sixth grade center library to expand the collection of multilingual books. So thank you to Altrusa. They are great supporters of Urbana. So we appreciate you. And that is Principal Carr and Mick Sathan, the librarian at the sixth grade center, accepting the check on behalf of the building. So thanks again. This donation will help ensure our students see themselves, their languages, and their cultures reflected in what they read. Broadway on Vine. So here's a couple of great pictures of those sets that Sherry was talking about earlier. Broadway on Vine, it was fantastic. This was, all their productions and performances are great, but I really enjoyed this. There was singing and humor, and the sets were amazing. The costumes were great. It was just really, really well done. You would not think or know, looking at this picture, that these were middle schoolers. The performance that I went to was full and packed, and I drove by on Saturday, and it looked like it was another full packed house there. So the elementary students, I think, got to go today. Isn't that right, Angie? Today, yep, today and tomorrow. So they get to do this for the elementary students, which is great, because then the elementary students can see themselves doing this when they're sixth graders and at the middle school. So congratulations to all the students involved and all the staff who, after months and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of practices, really put together something amazing. So kudos to them. Mariachi Tigres performed this past Saturday at the Bison hockey game. And I don't know if you noticed in the picture all the fundraising that they did, that these are their new uniforms. So yay, this is huge, because this has been a long time coming. So shout out to Tamara Gingold and the other adult performers and staff who sponsor the mariachi. Look at all the smiles on the students. They have been waiting so long to get these amazing uniforms. So the orange scarves with the tiger, they just look really, really sharp. So congrats to the group. And this weekend they are attending the ILMEA Mariachi Festival in Aurora, where they will look great in their uniforms again. Oh, that's right. Lindsay is a proud mom.
Their outfits are very detailed. It's really cute.
They're
You have
really
to see
nice.
them.
Yes.
I don't know.
I
think
haven't
it's-
seen them in person yet, just pictures, but wow.
It's really nice. The
Nice.
only thing is they can't bend over.
I bet they. That's so funny.
Actually, the person that made them, they are custom, like they can be resized, and they can fix them as they grow. So like alterations are included. If like a button or something comes off, everything is still going to be
That's
covered.
nice.
So you would just pay shipping to ship it back out and have it fixed. The only thing is you have to dry clean them.
Oh yeah. Well, it's nice that they can grow with them as they grow, so they can stay for years and years.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're really, really nice though.
Yeah. Yay, nice. Hey, Angie, I forgot. Did you want to say anything about Broadway and Vine? I don't know if you knew her daughter is right there with her hands on her hip in that picture. Did you want to say anything?
No, she wouldn't let me try to help her or anything, so I had no idea what to expect, and it was really cute. So it was a proud mom moment from a former choir fine arts person. So she did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, she did.
Thanks.
They all really did. Yeah.
She loved it, but she definitely kind of was a little Angie Franklin. So
Yeah. Lots
she's
of
a little bossy out
sass,
there,
yeah,
little sass. Yeah,
Lots
so.
of sass and humor.
Yeah.
She even looked like you, so.
I know. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys for sharing. So distinguished alumni visit. So thank you to board members who were able to join the CU Schools Foundation. I saw Member Hickson, Member Langendorf, and I think President Pulowski was there as well. Did anybody else go that I didn't see maybe? So we had the opportunity to celebrate the founder and executive chef of Evelyn's Kitchen, Ayala Donchin, who she is in New York right now, and for the last, I forgot how many years it's been since she graduated, maybe 30? She graduated in the 90s, I know that. work with culinary, baking and pastry, social media marketing, and cooperative education students. So she's pictured in that picture below, talking to our culinary students at the high school about her experiences. And then Broadway actor Jonathan Butler Duplessis spent time with the theater students. He actually plays Raymond Burr in the current Aaron Burr in Hamilton in Chicago. And so New York, oh, that's right, at the New York one. So even though he is not an Urbana grad, he still came over and spent time. Angie helped coordinate that. He came over to spend some time with our theater and music theater students. So we appreciate both of them making time for our young people. It was great. Some of the videos of them reenacting some of the scenes from Hamilton with him was really cool.
I saw the video of them singing. It was really,
Yeah,
really
it was
good.
really cool. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, he did a rendition at the event. Yes. Yes, they did. Yeah. Tomorrow night is our first neighborhood night. So I don't know if board members realize this, but this is part of the outcome of the strategic plan from the family engagement and community advocacy area that Deion Webster and Janice Nance lead. So one of the stakeholders that are part of that group said that, we're always asking families to come into the schools for events, but why don't we go to their communities and bring the action and the resources and all the things to them? So we're doing that, and we were able to get that done this year, so we're really excited about that. So the first neighborhood night will be tomorrow night. We are hosting it in the Sunnycrest parking lot, right there where the pavement is on Philo Road from 5:30 to 7:30. We chose that area specifically because it is a space where we can have people from Yankee Ridge who live in that neighborhood, Thomas Paine, Dr. Williams, Sixth Grade Center. So it may not be a park, but it is an area where a lot of our families visit and go through every day. So we thought it would be a great place for them to come. They can learn more about programs, participate in hands-on learning activities. We'll have a light meal provided. There'll be resources from many of our community partners, including the Park District and the Urbana Free Library. So come out and support the first neighborhood night and many more to come. Kindergarten open houses have all been scheduled. I'm going to attend as many of them as I can. I think there might be one that I can't go to because of negotiations, but I might get somebody to stand in for me. But I'm going to be doing some really fun things with the kindergarten families, something new also from our strategic plan to really help promote the Portrait of a Graduate. So come out to these, bring your family, and you don't want to miss the fun surprises that are in store for you if you show up to kindergarten open house this year. Summer programs, we've been working really hard to get the all of this information together so we can get it to families well before the end of the school year. So we'll be sharing this on social media. I know Catherine's been working with the district leaders that are supporting all of these programs to get this out to families as much and as often as we can. So this is just the list, all the dates and times. The times will come soon, but we wanted people to at least have the dates so they could plan ahead. I know families sometimes have to piecemeal camps and sign up for other things to make sure they have child care throughout the summer. So at least this gives some of our families an idea of things that they can do free in the district and where they might need to supplement other things. So we'll be sharing these out and talking about them much more in the weeks to come. Registration opens on May 1st, so right around the corner. Online registration is for our returning students opens on May 1st. I am really happy to share that we are bringing back centralized registration to Urbana Middle School. So since COVID, we've not had centralized registration. We opened up online registration because we kind of had to, and there were a lot of families who requested online registration. But however, in the last couple of years, the online participation has dropped more, and we are just missing out on the opportunities that we had to be kind of a one-stop shop where families could come in. We get that first in-person contact with them. We can make that first impression in person. We've seen some declines in our physicals and immunizations, and so just all kinds of reasons why we really want to go back to an in-person registration opportunity. Families who want to register online, please do so. We know many people who have no changes, don't need support, they don't need tech help, aren't going to be able to do that. But unfortunately, a large percentage of our parents have been waiting until the very last minute to register, which isn't easy for us when we're trying to plan for teachers to be in certain places, and we need to do our planning. And when we have families wait until the week before school starts or the first day of school to come in and register, it really does present a problem, but we want them to get all the information. So July 30th and 31st, we will have everyone back at the middle school like we used to. So First Student will be there, MTD, Quest. There'll be information for families about signing up for after-school care. The school-based health center will be open both days with appointments cleared just for our families, and the Carl Mobile Health Clinic will be out there on the 31st, so we can really get those physicals and immunizations done so our students can be compliant for the first day of school. So mark those dates if you're not an online registration person. And just a reminder to our parents that are listening, it's really important that you register by July 31st because you are in jeopardy of not having First Student busing by the first day of school if you wait much longer than that to register. Upcoming events. So this Friday is our last staff development day for the year, so no school for our EC and elementary students and early dismissal for our secondary campuses. And as Sherry already said, we are going to be recognizing Paul and many others at the annual mayoral recognition program. I believe it's at 5 at UHS, so 5 to 7. We do have a guest speaker coming from the University of Illinois, Dr. Rod Wyatt, who works in the Chancellor's Pre-K 12 Initiative Program, to be our key speaker, and there will be lots of students recognized for all their service. And of course, some other surprise people being recognized as well for their impact on our community, our school community. The UHS Spring Musical, April 30th to May 2nd. Does anybody know what it is? I don't know what it is. The Boy Who Didn't Like Musicals? Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you. The Boy Who Didn't Like Musicals is the topic, so that sounds interesting. We're going to have to all go see that. And then May 5th, UHS Spring Art and Jazz Show at 6 o'clock. That is it.
All right, thank you. There's a set of FOIAs that are published in our agenda that were all processed in accordance with FOIA laws. There is a call for an executive session on Monday at 6 p.m. at Central Office for Student Discipline. The four of you who have committed to that, please attend. But I guess there's a chance that it might not happen. So please.
Yeah, it is going to happen at 6.
It is going to happen?
Yes.
Okay, so disregard that.
And they're working on the possibility of a second one the same night.
Okay.
Yes, at 8.
Okay.
So more information about that hopefully tomorrow.
Okay. So the four of you have committed. Please attend because we don't have a quorum without you. And one other, I forgot. You've all been contacted for your robes and participation for graduation. I think 3 of you have yet to respond. So please do that when you get the chance. I think that's everything. The chair would then entertain a motion to adjourn for the evening.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? All right. Thanks, everybody. See you in 2 weeks. Yeah.